James Garner's life began far from Hollywood glamour, rooted instead in the modest rhythms of Norman, Oklahoma, where he was born on April 7, 1928. Raised during the Great Depression, Garner grew up understanding hardship not as an abstract concept, but as a daily reality. His father worked as a carpenter and small business owner, while his mother managed the household, instilling discipline, resilience, and self-reliance. After his parents' divorce, Garner's childhood became more unsettled, yet those experiences quietly shaped the steady, unpretentious presence audiences would later admire. He was not raised with expectations of fame, but with an understanding of responsibility and perseverance. That early grounding never left him. Even at the height of his success, Garner remained visibly uncomfortable with pretension, preferring honesty over image. His Oklahoma upbringing did not just form his character, it became the emotional anchor that kept him steady throughout a career defined by change, pressure, and public scrutiny. Service, discipline, and the road toward acting. Before acting ever entered his life, James Garner served in the United States Army, an experience that profoundly shaped his sense of discipline and perspective. He enlisted toward the end of World War II and later served during the Korean War, earning 2 Purple Hearts for wounds sustained in combat. Military life introduced Garner to structure, accountability, and endurance under pressure, lessons that later translated seamlessly into his work ethic as an actor. After returning home, he briefly studied drama at the University of Oklahoma, though he left before graduating. His decision to pursue acting was not driven by ambition alone, but by curiosity and instinct. Garner did not arrive in Hollywood with grand plans. He arrived willing to learn. When talent agent Henry Wilson recognized Garner's natural charisma and encouraged him to adopt a more marketable name, James Scott Bumgar became James Garner. It was a small change that marked the beginning of a remarkable and enduring career. Maverick and the rise of an unlikely star. James Garner's breakout role as Brett Maverick in the television series Maverick transformed him into a household name during the late 1950s. Unlike traditional Western heroes, Maverick was clever rather than imposing, humorous rather than rigid, and morally complex without being cynical. Garner's performance brought charm and intelligence to a genre often dominated by stoicism, and audiences responded immediately. What made Maverick memorable was not just the character's wit, but Garner's ability to suggest vulnerability beneath confidence. He never played invincibility, he played humanity. That quality became his signature. Garner's success on Maverick also established him as an actor who could carry a show without overpowering it. He understood restraint, timing, and the power of understatement. At a time when television heroes were often larger than life, Garner made relatability his strength. This balance of ease and depth would define his career across decades and genres. A film career built on versatility and trust. Garner's transition from television to film was seamless, marked by a series of performances that showcased his adaptability. In The Great Escape, 1963, he held his own among an ensemble cast of legendary actors, delivering a performance that was both resourceful and understated. Grand Prix 1966 further revealed his dedication as Garner performed many of his own racing scenes, embracing physical risk in pursuit of authenticity. What distinguished Garner was not spectacle, but credibility. Directors trusted him because he brought truth to every role, whether dramatic, comedic, or action-driven. He avoided exaggeration and favored realism, which allowed audiences to believe in his characters instinctively. Even when playing heroes, Garner resisted idealization. His film career was not about reinvention, but refinement. Each role added texture to a persona rooted in honesty. That consistency earned him lasting respect in an industry known for volatility and reinvention. Fatherhood, family, and a life beyond fame. Fatherhood was central to James Garner's identity, though he rarely spoke about it publicly in grand terms. He believed family life should be lived, not performed. When he and Lois welcomed their daughter Greta, known affectionately as Gigi, in 1958, Garner adjusted his priorities instinctively. Balancing a demanding career with family responsibilities was not always easy, but he approached it with intention. Garner valued presence over perfection, preferring consistency and care to spectacle. Those who knew him described a man who listened more than he lectured, who offered support without domination. He maintained clear boundaries between work and home whenever possible, resisting Hollywood's tendency to blur them. For Garner, success was not measured solely by awards or recognition, but by stability and integrity at home. That quiet devotion grounded him throughout decades of public life and professional pressure. Separations, pressure, and honest perspective. Despite the strength of their marriage, Garner and Lois experienced periods of separation, moments he addressed with transparency rather than defensiveness. The pressures of the Rockford files were intense, both physically and emotionally. Garner's workload was unrelenting, and chronic pain from knee injuries compounded the strain. The separations in 1970 and again from 1979 to 1981 were not born of marital conflict, but exhaustion. Garner later clarified that stepping away was necessary for survival, not escape. During that time, he sought solitude and recovery, dividing his time between Canada and California. Rather than dramatizing these periods, Garner spoke of them pragmatically, emphasizing the importance of mental and physical health. The couple reunited with renewed understanding, continuing their life together without spectacle. Their story was not one of perfection, but of honesty, endurance, and mutual respect in the face of pressure. Working with Sally Field, Respect Without Myth. James Garner's reflections on working with Sally Field were notable for their clarity and restraint. Addressing long-standing speculation, he emphasized respect over rumor. Garner acknowledged Field's talent and intensity, describing her as deeply passionate about her craft. Their collaboration, he explained, involved professional chemistry rather than personal closeness. Differences in acting styles occasionally created friction, but never hostility. Garner viewed such tension as natural when committed artists worked together. He rejected the public tendency to conflate on-screen relationships with off-screen realities, noting that convincing performances do not require personal intimacy. Importantly, he emphasized that disagreements were creative, not personal. In reflecting on the experience, Garner spoke of growth, patience, and learning to listen. His comments revealed maturity rather than defensiveness, offering insight into collaboration without feeding speculation. In doing so, he set the record straight with honesty and grace, living with pain and physical resilience. Behind James Garner's relaxed screen presence was a lifetime of physical strain. His knees suffered extensive damage during the Rockford files, leading to multiple surgeries throughout the 1970s. Despite constant pain, Garner continued working, often downplaying his discomfort. By 2000, both knees required full replacement, marking the culmination of decades of wear. These procedures were serious and demanding, yet Garner approached recovery with determination rather than complaint. Physical resilience became a defining feature of his later life, not because he ignored pain, but because he adapted to it. He valued independence deeply and worked hard to maintain mobility. His experience reflected the hidden cost of physical performance in entertainment, particularly during an era when safety standards were less rigorous. Garner never romanticized suffering, but he accepted it as part of his journey, meeting adversity with quiet endurance and pragmatic resolve. Stroke, later years, and quiet dignity. In 2008, James Garner suffered a serious stroke that required immediate surgery. Though his prognosis was initially positive, the event marked a turning point in his health. Recovery was challenging, and while he retained his warmth and humor, his physical vitality gradually declined. Garner accepted these changes with dignity, choosing privacy over performance. He remained admired not for defying age, but for meeting it honestly. His later years were marked by reflection rather than reinvention, by gratitude rather than ambition. Friends and family described him as present, thoughtful, and grounded, even as his health limited him. Garner's legacy during this period was not built on new roles, but on the consistency of his character. He demonstrated that aging need not diminish value, and that grace often reveals itself most clearly in moments of limitation. A lasting legacy of integrity and humanity. James Garner passed away on July 19, 2014, at the age of 86, leaving behind a legacy defined not only by achievement, but by integrity. His death marked the close of a remarkable chapter in Hollywood history, one shaped by authenticity rather than spectacle. Garner was admired because he never tried to be more than he was. He trusted audiences to recognize sincerity, and they did. Across television and film, through triumph and hardship, he remained consistent in values and tone. His career proved that longevity comes from trust, not trend. More than any single role, Garner's legacy lives in the way he worked, the way he treated others, and the way he lived, grounded, honest, and unpretentious. In an industry often drawn to illusion, James Garner stood